Well, hello everyone and welcome back. I think we're on episode 11. I really should check before I start filming. My name is Shannon and this is where I talk about what I'm working on. Mostly knit and crochet. Occasionally you have some spinning. Really had a desire to do a little more sewing, so you might see some of that soon. And talk about what I have planned, what I am working on, and now we'll just dive right into it. So I actually have no finished objects this week. I have been selecting to work on some slightly bigger projects, and it's kind of making me feel like I'm not getting anything done, but I know that I'm making progress on them. So I will start in with the first one. The first project I have, let me move my hook out of the way. This is a resin hook from Furls. I don't think I'm really getting the color well. It's a really pretty purple with some glitter and some mustard in there. And this is a variation of the Sundance shawl from Mama in a Stitch. It is doing a granny ripple, and I am working on this using yarn cakes from Hobbii. So where are they? Over here you can see the first stitch is where I was last time, so I'd made a decent amount of progress last time. The second one I put it down for a few days and then put the stitch on for when I started again. And then I have barely worked on this in the last week. I am still enjoying working on it, but it just hasn't been my main focus project. So these yarn cakes, I have used the first one where it started at the purple. And it's really hard to see on camera, but this gradual change is made from the 4 threads within the yarn cake slowly switching. So you will have 4 of the purple, and then you'll have 3 purple and 1 white, 2 purple, 2 white, 3 white and 1 purple, and then it switches over until you fade into the next color. And so the first cake ended here with the black, which is why you see the abrupt change from black to navy blue. So the first cake was a Dahlia Halloween. It's a 100% cotton. They recommend using 3.5 millimeter needles or a 4 millimeter crochet hook, which I am using a 4 millimeter hook. And this is the color number 3. So it was one of their Halloween line. It's not available right now. And the other cake that I am using, oh, wait, maybe this one. No, this one is the Halloween. The other cake, the first cake, was a Black Friday cake. Sorry, I got them 2 mixed up because I have the labels here. The first cake was Black Friday cotton cake, 100% cotton. The rest of it's all still the same. Color number 6. So neither of these are technically available right now, but Hobbii's website is always updating, so I'm pretty sure they've had these Halloween cakes for the last 2 years, and I believe they have had the Black Friday cakes for at least 2 years as well. So after it started with the purple and it went through to the blue, or to the black, I knew I was not going to have enough to make this what I wanted. My daughter helped me pick, and it has an easy start tab in the middle, but I'm actually pulling from the outside so that it would go from the black to blue, and then it's going to end up back at purple. And I realized later I probably should have just left this whole black section out so that it would fade from blue to blue. But it's not the same shade of blue anyways. So yeah, I'm still slowly working on this. I was just looking for something that would be nice and simple and mindless, and it's going to make a very lightweight shawl. So there is that one. The next project I will pick another one you have seen. Actually, I'll pick this one because there's very little to say. This is my Advertence year-long knit-along. The pattern is from Expression Fiber Arts, and the yarn is from the So Happy Jane Hand-Dyed Happy Yarn Club. So I am still behind. Oh God, very behind. You can see I got very little done on this since last time we spoke. So this is January, February, March, April's section is right here. I haven't even started May's section. I am planning on getting a little more work on this done after I'm done here. So I'm almost done with the green, and then the green will be taken out and it'll be this peachy pink and a dark purple. And I want to say I have about another 30 rows. I can't remember exactly. I'd have to look at the pattern, of course, to know. But this is just a mosaic knitting year-long. I was really afraid I would fall behind when I decided to start this project, and I really have. It takes just enough focus that it's not a day-to-day knitting for me. I like at the end of the day to have something. It doesn't have to be completely mindless, but if I had a rough day at work or if there's things going on around me, I don't want a complex pattern. So there's a lot of days that one just sits in the basket, and I will catch up. Even if I don't finish by the end of the year, I'm going to tell myself that that's going to be okay, and I'm going to go work really hard on believing it. We'll see if I manage to convince myself. So I have 2 more works in progress. This is another one you have seen. Where is my ball? There it is. Do not want that falling out when I don't know. So this is the, let me refresh myself with the designer, Helene's Knit House. This is the Advent Calendar sweater from 2020. And I am knitting this using an Advent Calendar from Pixie Yarn from this last year, so 2022. So this is knit up. You start up around the shoulders and then you go back, front, back, front, back, front. You are currently looking at the front. I kind of had a goal. You can see my little stitch marker here. So I have gotten 2.5 rows there. My goal was to try to get 4 colors each week. That did not happen this time. We had a few various things. I went back to school myself. My daughter had a concert one night, so I didn't do any work that night. Another time my daughter had a driver's ed class for parent meetings. So lots of things where I'd go to work and then I'd go home, but I did not have sitting down and knitting time that night. And then, you know, sometimes life just happens. I worked on other projects as well. So I actually got, and this is the back. I got 3 full colors on the back. So total 5 colors over 2 weeks. That is not the 8 colors that would have been my goal, but I'm making progress. And I am now down to, there's the color I just started, and I believe, if I remember correctly, this is color number 19 of 23 color stripes. It only uses 23 of the 24 colors from an Advent calendar, so I think I have 4 more colors, and then I start working on the sides, a million little ends, and the ribbing around the edges. So I'm getting close to done. The one thing that I think I wish I would have done, and if I ever make the sweater again I will do, is either, one, I would not make it using an Advent calendar. Because I am looking at the length, and obviously I have more colors and blocking it and ribbing it, but I think that for me personally it's going to be a little more cropped than I would normally wear it. I tend to be a little longer in the torso and not like things super cropped anyways. So I think if I made it with not an advent calendar, then I could just add on extra stripes to get the length I want. Whereas using an advent calendar, like I have the yarn that I have. The other thing that I could have done to add length, and we will see how much length I think I would need at the end, in between each of these color stripes is just a couple rows of a main color that will then be used for the ribbing and everything. I think if I had realized the length that was going to be, like logically realized it, I would have used that main color for these little shoulder bits, because then I could have gone 12 colors on the front, 12 colors on the back, instead of 11 colors on the front and 11 colors on the back and one color that's not being used. And that would have, again, given me just a little more length. Obviously, if you like things cropped, then the length doesn't really matter. And so far, there's nothing else that I dislike about the pattern. So, one more time, here is the front. And here is the back. And it absolutely makes me giggle how they do not look connected at all. Like, they don't look like they should be part of the same sweater. And that, I like it. I really like the way it's coming out. Alright, so for my last work in progress, I had to adjust things a little bit. I actually have this one in 2 different bags. So this is just a tote bag I got from local yarn shop day. And this is actually a new acquisition. It is from Fancy Boy Designs. And it has yoga sloths on it. And it has just been the perfect size for this project. I know that I haven't shown a pair of socks yet, so there's the assumption that there's socks in here, but I don't need 2 bags for a pair of socks. So I am actually not working on a pair of socks right now. This has been my car project. So I will dive right onto it. So the pattern is from Expression Fiber Arts. Every Friday they tend to put out a free pattern, and this is one I downloaded a while ago. I had been vaguely thinking about using it as like a scrappy project, and then I received my Star Wars themed yarn from FanGirl Fibers. So this is, the pattern is Tubucake. It is, according to the pattern, the Fiji word for grace. So I'm really hoping I'm pronouncing it correctly. I rewatched her video on it, trying to get it closer. I will link to the pattern down below. So I am using my FanGirl Fibers, A Woman's Place is in the Resistance colorways. And it is, this shawl is going to be made using hexagons. Sorry, I feel like I'm explaining this whole project poorly. So this is a shawl. And this is part of why I thought it would be really good for scrappy projects. I weighed my first hexagon after I made it, and this is only about 5 grams of fingering weight yarn. And then you make the shawl using 97 full hexagons. This is all the colorway Leia. And then there's a few half hexagons in there so that you will have straight sides. I started this thinking, oh, well, if there's 97, this is going to take me like months to make. I actually timed how long it took me to make one hexagon just out of curiosity, and it only takes like 10 minutes to make a hexagon. So I managed to get all of Leia's hexagons made in 1 week. And these ones are now, all of that color is now completed and blocked. It was a 100 gram skein of fingering weight yarn. And this is how much of the Leia yarn I had left. So, it definitely used the whole bit. Leia is the section of hexagons that takes the most. So the next colorway that I was working on This is the colorway Ray. Sorry, I have a little light bulb stitch marker holding them together in groups of 5 to help me count. And last night I actually finished Ray. These have not been blocked yet. The pattern does recommend blocking the hexagons before you weave in the ends and seam them together. I'm really not looking forward to seaming about 100 hexagons together. I'm not sure I thought that part through too much, and I'm debating between starting to do a little bit of the seaming because I will now have 2 colors completed. I'm planning on blocking these later tonight. And as you can see, I have a decent amount of Ray left. And then the next color I'm going to be working on is Padme, followed by Akosa. Hope I'm pronouncing that right. This one, it's definitely not coming through well on the screen. It's a lot of browns, but like with a kind of a purpley red undertone. And then the final color in this pack was Gin, a nice, I'm trying to see if I can get the light to pick it up. I've got yarn bouncing. It looks kind of black on there, but it is a deep navy. So I am definitely enjoying working on these. I do not know why these little hexagons have been so much fun to make. Sorry, picking up my bouncing yarn ball. But they make really good travel projects because each little hexagon only takes about 10 minutes. I can have one color and a pair of scissors, my hook, in a travel bag and go, and then later today I will put those into block and just throw the next color in and everything will be fine. I had 2 problems at the start of this project. Sorry, trying to organize everything around me. The first one is the hook I am using is a Furls. It's a purple wooden hook. The pattern calls for a 3.5 millimeter. You can't read it on this, but this is actually a 3.75 millimeter. Apparently, I do not own a 3.5 millimeter hook. So I had to choose between a 3.25 and a 3.75. I went for the slightly larger. I figure it's a 1/4 of a millimeter, so it's not going to make that big a difference, but I wanted to err on the slightly bigger side because I really want a good drape and movement to it. So I didn't want the super tight weave to the hexagons. That may be part of why I used almost every single bit of the Leia. But the other problem that I ran into, and as far as problems go, it's pretty minor. When I got my Star Wars yarn, I looked at it and thought, that will be perfect for this shawl. The shawl takes 5 colors. But then I remembered it is 5 colors and a border. So I'm not quite sure what I'm going to use for the border. Based on the first 2 colors, I'm not expecting to have leftover yarn from any of the colors, and I don't think I'd want one of the colors from inside the shawl to be the border. I think that would just take too much attention to it. So I will probably be going through my stash, looking at what looks good as I keep making them. I have 3 more colors of hexagons to go through. Each color has taken me at least a week. I was really expecting to be doing like maybe a hexagon a day, and thinking somewhere along the lines of, if I do a hexagon a day, that's going to be all of my project time. And I way overestimated how long it would take. I'm really enjoying making them. My original thought was to use it as scrappy because I figured each hexagon, like, got my little leftovers bowl here, like, I could easily make a couple of hexagons with leftover yarn from other projects, and then just make a whole bunch. I could either sew them on as I go until it gets big enough, or organize it out by shades however I wanted to. And I may still consider that in the future, We will see how much I'm still enjoying making the hexagons when I am done with this one. I've tried doing a project using hexagons as a scrappy project before, and it is currently in timeout under my bed because I couldn't do it. But those hexagons took like 45 minutes to make. These ones take 10, so I may keep going with it in the future. We'll see what I decide on. I have a desire to work on scrappy projects lately, but not really the follow through on scrappy projects, so we'll see where that ends up. So that is all of my works in progress, and with no finished objects, I feel like I'm done working on the projects, like I'm done talking about projects I'm working on pretty quickly. I do really want to keep pushing forward. I'd like to finish my Advent sweater while it is a good weather to wear it. I've got 2 lightweight shawls going, which I feel like they'll both be perfect for those spring nights when it's just a little bit cool, but spring's going to be gone very soon. So I want to keep going on those. And then other than that, I have a few acquisitions, but even then, not a ton. This may be a very short time. Alright. So, as for acquisitions, I have, of course, the Fancy Boy Designs sloth bag that I just showed you. I have been trying to make sure that I am using up projects, and as I am working through some, I think all of my current projects are fingering weight, so I'm going very slowly through the yarn, and so I'm trying to behave with not ordering too much. This actually I ordered before the last podcast, but it just arrived. It is another ball of Regia Perfect. This is the color 09094, and it's just a 1 ball of yarn. I have still not done any of these. I may consider doing some of these for summer sock camp, or I mean, there's always summer sock make-alongs. So I may end up considering one of these as just a quick way of doing a patterned sock without actually having to do any color work. Because I like patterned socks, but I really don't like color work in socks. I feel like I don't pull the different colors tight enough, and then I end up with holes. But theoretically, from what I have heard from others, you have this dark yellow part, you start after that once you hit the pink, and then you just kind of knit through and you end up with patterned socks. And it is a knit one and then knit the other, because it is all 1 ball to get 1 pair of socks. And I'm not entirely sure how much I'm gonna like it, but I've seen them done and they do look very, very cool, so I do want to try it. So that was a lot of words for Regia Perfect. I also received my Paradise Fibers Fiber of the Month. This month's theme was Miami Nights. So I have most of what came in this here. It did come with a fun pair of sunglasses that were the, oh, does it say what they're called? Slatted shades. And, let me see if you can see the picture. The pair I got were these blue ones. Those have disappeared into my 5-year-old's bedroom. I'm not sure I will ever see them again. But the fiber that I received this time is, let's see, the magenta shade is called Miami Nightlife, and it came with this in this gorgeous sparkle bag. So you can kind of see lots of the different shades, but there's definitely like a hot pink tint to all of it. And then in this hot pink bag is the color Beach Party. So Miami Nightlife is 100% merino. Sorry, I'm looking at my cheat sheet here. This is 87.5, 12.5% Corriedale nylon blend. So this color is, let's see if it will, the color, if the light will adjust. There we go. So this is the color Beach Party. It's very dark blues. There's little, very sparkly yellow flecks through it. Yeah, both very, very gorgeous wools. Then it also came with my little bag of goodies. This is actually one of the first times I was disappointed by anything at all coming, but not for, I just dropped my stitch marker. Not for any reasons that is necessarily logical. So I'm not sure how well, I can't always get tiny things to pick up. This is a tiny palm tree stitch marker. Then it came with a sample of Stella Bee Cherry Blossom soap, which the whole package just smelled absolutely wonderful. Yep, that's now just sitting there in with some scrap yarn. A wild hibiscus tea, the sunglasses that have disappeared, and then this is the only thing that was disappointing. I love my Eunice stickers. This guy looks awesome, but he's bigger than they normally are, and I normally put them on my yarn cart, but I think he's just a little bit too big to fit on my cart of yarn. So that, the only disappointment is I don't know where I'm going to put him if he's too big to fit on the yarn cart. Alright, I'm hoping I'm not about to run into camera trouble again, but we shall see. So the other things I received, I just got this in the mail today, so please excuse the crinkle. Apparently when I'm trying to order less yarn, I order more project bags. So this is a bag from Bags by Awesome Granny, and it is Gnomes Drinking Coffee. And it has got a nice little bottom there, little ring to hook things on, handle, cute project bag, which, I mean, it means as cute as it is, there's not a lot of details I can really say about it other than look at my project bag. Then the rest of my acquisitions actually came from today. I went out a little bit to go to a craft store I don't normally go to, Craft Warehouse, and it also happens to have a Half Price Books nearby. So the first thing I got that I'll share with you is from Half Price Books. I've been looking at this kit. Alright, so from Half Price Books, I've been looking at this kit for a while. It is the Crochet Mini Animals. I had it in my cart on Amazon. I've seen it in Joann's and Barnes & Noble, and I normally see it listed as about $25. It says right here the list price is $17, but it's one of those where I kept saying, will I ever make tiny, tiny animals? For $6, I was willing to risk that I would not do it right away. That was all I got for me from Half Price Books. My daughter's got a whole bunch of actual books. Then we also went to Craft Warehouse. Craft Warehouse, if you do not have one in your local area, it has a lot of, it has yarn, it has fabric, it has a lot of kits, there's a lot of decor. I actually got this and this basket from there today. Thought this wall looked very boring and I kept trying to make stuff for it and then never liking what I made. And I thought these would look very nice. I'm not sure if I'll keep this particular yarn or these fairy lights there, but I really do like the planter basket as a little something there. And it's nice and easy to switch out. I also did pick up a little bit of yarn while I was there. So these are Bernate Pipsqueak, and this color is Tickle Me Pink. And then I also got two more in the color Blue Jean Swirl. So obviously you can see the little babies on it. These are frequently used to make things for babies, baby blankets, baby hats, baby sweaters. It's a very, very soft and squishy yarn. But one of the things I really like this yarn for is fuzzy socks made on my Addy machine. So they have multiple sizes of Addy machines. trying to remember how many pins it's on. It's not the king size, it's just the normal size Addy machine. I can usually get about a pair of socks from a ball by just cranking out enough, and they make the softest socks. These were just some colors I didn't have, and now I really want to crank out some socks, so I may get that out later today. We'll see. Then I do have a little more yarn. Sorry, everything is just slightly out of reach. So I'm very much of the opinion that you can never have too many pairs of tiny scissors. So I got myself some embroidery scissors. Then I don't know if you remember, but I happen to live in Idaho. So I was able to get a couple of half yards of potato themed fabric. My vague plan is to combine this with something from my stash to make a project bag or two. I always have big plans to make project bags and do not always get to it, so we'll see. I have had a little bit of a desire to sew lately, so maybe this will be the inspiration I need. The other sewing project I got, it is a 10-minute table runner kit. I do have a video up of me making the 10-minute table runner. I didn't give any instructions or anything on it. Obviously, as this is a kit from Craft Warehouse, this is not my pattern. But I've made one for my own table. I bought a 4th of July themed one last year and then made that table runner kit for my in-laws. And they really liked it. They're very simple. You don't have to get the kit, but I just happen to like this one. So a little more sewing that is theoretically in my future. And then the last thing is the last little bit of yarn. It is a Sesame Street Elmo Amigurumi crochet kit. I have a 5-year-old and I'm a child at heart when it comes to Sesame Street. So it was just one of those kind of a semi-impulse. So this is from Lion Brand Yarns, and it's just, I'm going to use it to make an Elmo. There's not really a lot else to say about that. Alright, sorry, had to break because the puppy wanted in. Told her if she insists on being in, she gets to be on camera. So say hi, Lucy. Yeah. Alright. So that is all of my works in progress, my lack of finished objects, my acquisitions. I mean, kind of based on what you're seeing around here, I think you can guess that I've got some sewing in my future, and I am really enjoying working on some of these long-term projects. I really do want to have kind of feel like saying I want to have a win. I want to have a finish on something. So I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to do other than keep chugging along on what I'm doing. I have also considered starting a quick project of some sort. I do, as you know, have a bit of an affinity for kits. So there is a chance that I will pick up one of those kits and do one of those kind of simple projects. I do have one that makes like a teeny tiny ladybug and a teeny tiny bee, and they're the kind of size that I could make it in a day or two depending on how much time I have. So I may work on one of those just so I can feel like I've finished something. But in spite of the fact that I haven't finished the projects, I am really, really enjoying the long-term ones. I'm really excited about all the little hexagons I'm making and the shawl that it'll end up being. Even though I'm behind on my year-long project, I'm not that far behind. Farther than I want to be, but I'm telling myself it's not that far behind. I did get some yarn that will go really well on my Addy machine, and while it's not like traditional knitting, I could theoretically have a pair of socks in a night, and then that might make me feel like I accomplished something. I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to do other than chug along. I am planning on trying to cast on another pair of socks. Crazy Sock Ladies Summer Sock Camp has her cast on next week. So it's one of those where I've got a bag already set up to start a pair of socks, and then I just decided to work on my hexagons instead. So I may not have the socks as car knitting, but I may cast them on so that I can be a part of that big cast on, you know, the big community feeling. And honestly, it's a strange feeling for me having so many projects that are all process because the product is still so far away. I always kind of thought of myself as like 50-50 product and process, and there's no product coming out right now, so that's a little bit hard. That seems to be all I have for now. I have nothing really exciting to share in upcoming life stuff. I've been planting in my garden, staring at the massive amount of dandelions in the backyard. We don't have any exciting summer plans because I am staying in school for the summer last semester. So it really is just all work, school, and knitting. It makes this portion of everything very, very boring. Maybe one day I'll have something exciting to share, but today is not that day. So until next time, happy making. I hope you're all enjoying the sunshine, if it's sunny where you are. If it's not, it's just a perfect time to stay inside and make things.